This should be down here. Should be working now. All right, so part 2.
Hello. We're live?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Do you want to just start it up? Or are we still waiting on sound stuff?
No, we're good, I think. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Cool. So why don't we just start by trying to figure out where we left off? Do you want to both try to steelman each other's arguments?
Yeah, so your position is that the universe is conscious in some sense. You said it's omniscient. I'm still not exactly sure. It seems like seems to me like what your position is that you're saying that the parts have consciousness and there is some like set of facts that exists about the universe that those parts could discover.
Okay, so I think this is where we were breaking down. I don't care about consciousness. I'm saying that the universe is intelligent, which I would define as being a different thing, right? So intelligence, as I'm defining it, is the multiple of your ability to perform tasks and your ability to craft new tasks.
Okay, so can you be intelligent without being conscious?
Yes.
Okay. Go over your definition of intelligence again.
Sure. Yeah, it's the multiple. So if you multiply the two together, of your ability to perform tasks, right, and your ability to craft new tasks.
What do you mean by craft new tasks?
Figure out, that suggests consciousness, which I'm trying to avoid, but come by some framework, get to a point by which you are either as an individual thing or as a collective of things crafting, beginning to work towards new tasks that you weren't working towards before.
Okay, is my table fan intelligent?
Is your table intelligent? Give me an example of it performing tasks.
Table fan. So
table fan. Okay, give me an example of it performing tasks.
When it spins and blows air.
Sure. Now give me an example of it crafting new tasks.
It breaks down, so it works together, and then.
Is that a new task?
Yes, it's a new task.
How is that a new task?
Well, it didn't do it before, so it's new. I don't know.
Right, but it's not a new task. It's just new.
How is that different? Like a task.
The point is that it's not a task. It's not doing something. By breaking down, it's ceasing to do something. It's not doing something new.
Well, that's just a matter of perspective. So when it breaks down and starts on fire, the fire is a new task. That's a new thing it's doing. And if, like, for example, if I'm cold and I need fire, then that's a very useful task that it's doing.
Did it craft the... so you're saying you burned it? You're burning your fan?
Essentially. Like
if you burn your fan, I would argue that you crafted a new task.
No, I didn't deliberately do it.
It just fan crafted it.
It like had an electrical misfiring and started on fire itself, and I'm just using it for that task.
Okay, but it itself didn't craft that. It itself it happened to it, right?
Okay, and how is that different to everything in the universe?
Because other things craft tasks. The collective of New York can craft tasks, right?
Well, that's just the person. Remember, like you said, if I start the fan on fire, that's not the fan doing it. It's me doing it to the fan.
My point is that New York is different because New York is the collection of the people. So when people do things, but they do it as a group of people, they're doing it as a collective task. They're crafting it collectively. It's not that one person.
But that's still the people. So if we just say, if you think of me as a collection of people, or me and like everybody in my room, we all started the fan on fire. That's not the fan starting itself on fire. That's
it's the collection of people.
Correct. So the universe isn't a collection of people. The universe is the fan.
Why do you say that?
Because the collection of people are not the same as the universe.
What's the universe?
Everything, essentially.
Right, including the living stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when the living things do things collectively, right? If the universe, I'm not saying that we haven't gotten to a point where I'm trying to prove this yet, but if there was a thing that all of the living things in the universe were collectively trying to do, and I'm not saying literally every single one, because obviously individual ones can be cancerous, right? But if in aggregate they are moving towards a single task, crafting a task, or working towards a task, right? That would be evidence of intelligence at a collective level.
No, but okay. So, for example,
wait. No, but what do you mean by no?
No, the fact that they're moving towards a goal wouldn't in any way be intelligence. Like,
no. Well, okay. If you're uncomfortable with the word intelligence, that's a separate point. But you would agree that it is that it's possible for a collection of individual life forms, individual animals,
Let's say
to
that
collectively perform tasks, and collectively craft new tasks.
No,
correct?
Let's say that everyone believes the world is flat. I mean, is that evidence that there is some collective mind there? No, it could be coincidence. Like if everyone's going in one direction.
No, it totally is. If all of the humans on Earth agree that the Earth is flat, they're wrong, but it is a collective opinion. Right?
No, that's the point. Is that no, it's not a collective opinion. Like I can come to a belief and you can come to a belief, and they may be the same belief, but it's not a collective belief. They could be completely separate. Like we could both be traveling in one direction, like north.
I don't think that's quite fair. I don't think psychologists would agree with you. I think that
they would absolutely
if the vast majority of people on Earth agree to something, it's much more likely that you're going to agree to it.
No, again, so this is totally.
What do you mean no?
It's not about how much you believe to it.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're saying that psychologists wouldn't agree?
No, psychologists would completely agree with everything you're saying. So
wait. So psychologists, on this particular point, psychologists wouldn't agree that if the people around you all think something, it's more likely to make you think something.
That's completely irrelevant to the point. So
of course it's not. I'm saying that the
no. You're not understanding. You're not understanding the argument. So if I come to a belief like the world is flat, and someone on the other side of the planet, or if I just pick a random belief, like I believe there's a God or something, and someone on the other side of the planet believes there's a God, there is no connection between us. There is no collective intelligence between us at all. We just came to the same belief in two separate areas.
It is possible for two separate human beings to come up with a belief independent of one another. That is true. It is also possible for two separate human beings to interact together and thereby collectively come to an opinion. Is that true as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So
what I'm saying is when I'm saying collective intelligence, I'm saying that there's collective intelligence within New York City, where people within New York City are capable of coming to a collective opinion, collective consensus.
What you said was that you think that the collective intelligence of like all living things are going to move towards one particular end is evidence.
Well, so that's why I'm trying to take it piece by piece. I'm trying to first start with the city, and then from the city, once we can establish that a city can be capable of both crafting and performing tasks, then we can get to a point where we can make an argument, and we can take it piece by piece.
Well, let's go back, because none of this qualifies as intelligence. None of that is intelligence. So
okay, so what's your definition of intelligence?
Intelligence is like the ability to think and process. You need a brain to have intelligence. If you don't
okay, can you give me an epistemological definition of that?
That was an epistemological definition.
No, it wasn't.
What do you mean? Epistemology is how we know things.
Is the justified belief based on fact? Yeah.
Justified belief.
I can't prove. Yeah, justified belief, not an opinion, based on facts that we can verify about the world. That's epistemology.
Right. So using epistemology is the study of knowledge. Justified true belief is a kind of epistemology. It's not
No. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Epistemology is a subset of beliefs about the world. Epistemology specifically focuses on justified belief about facts in the world.
Wrong. Again, epistemology.
No, that's not wrong.
Epistemology.
That's not wrong.
Yes, it is.
Tom, again, I would encourage you to look it up. That's not wrong.
I specialize in philosophy and talk with professional philosophers all day. That is shit. So epistemology.
That's not shit.
Tom, I'm going to mute you. Stop right now.
Okay,
I'm going to mute you.
Could you search it?
I'm going to mute
you. Could you search it?
I'm going to mute you. Epistemology.
Sure. Could you search it as well?
You go for it. Search it. I already know I'm right. I don't even have to search it. Epistemology.
Tom, I want specifically you to search it so you can show it on your screen.
Shut up,
so
or I'm going to mute you. Last chance, or I'm going to mute you.
I would like for the rest of the.
You're muted. You're muted. No one can hear you. You're muted. No one can hear you. Okay, so epistemology. I'm going to mute you so I can't hear you. This is the last time. I'm going to mute you so I can't even hear you. I don't care what you want. Shut up. All right, I'm muting you on my channel, so I can't hear you either. So now you're perfectly muted. Epistemology. The definition of epistemology is the study of knowledge. There are lots of different models of epistemology. Justified true belief is a kind of model of epistemology. It's not the only one. So there's lots of different versions. So when you said epistemology is necessarily a justified true belief, you're wrong. It's completely wrong. No.
Because there are three areas of philosophy directly influencing teaching theory of practice. There's metaphysics, which includes ontology. There's epistemology, a separate thing, and there's the axiology, which is a separate thing, right?
No,
so I'd like you to put this on the screen.
There's lots of different.
I just searched it. You can search it as well.
Could
you search this?
No.
Tom, this is so easily verified. This is so easily verified. If you're right on this, then just prove that you're right on it and prove that I'm wrong.
I mean, I already
this
have.
is so easily verified.
The world is flat. It's already
just
done.
Put this on the screen. That's not my point. My point is I wanted to make sure that we have an understanding of what the word epistemology means. So I'd like for you to define it and use something that's on the internet that's easily accessible both to you and your audience. I don't understand why you're not doing that.
I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to pull up anything.
You're not going to pull. Why?
because I'm too lazy. Like, what?
What do you mean you're too lazy? We've already talked about this for like 30, 40 seconds. It would take you 2 seconds to search it and just share your screen.
I'm just going to kick you off if you keep on this point. Epistemology is the study of knowledge.
I think it's silly that you're not willing to focus on...
Muted.
Not just in this conversation, not just in our last conversation, but in your conversation with Destiny, your conversation...
I've muted you again. No one can hear you. I muted you. I can't hear you. So again... Epistemology is the study of knowledge. That's literally what it means. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. That's literally what it means. Justified belief is a kind of knowledge. It's not the only theory of knowledge. So just go back. Ontology is what exists. Epistemology is how we know what exists, or how stuff we know. It doesn't have to be existing. Nope, because I already know I'm right. So again, we're going to go back. Yes, it is, because you're wasting my time. Go for it. Feel free to look it up. I already have too, so go away. All right, we're done. We're done with this topic. Go back. What, like you said, there's this intelligence thing. What is, I don't care. We're done with this topic. I'm just going to kick you off. So you have to answer the question. What do you mean by when you say intelligence? Because it's not intelligence. Intelligence has to do with the brain. So when you say something that can function... You're just making that as a statement, but yes, you haven't based that on something. That's based off of science. I am looking for an epistemology. That's based off of science. So science, I want to base this in epistemology for your definition of intelligence. Intelligence, scientifically, how we know it, is a part of a brain. We only know of intelligence as a part of a brain through any scientific means. That's it. There is no other thing that is intelligence other than brains. So when you talk about intelligence, it's either a brain or it's not intelligence. I want a justified basis for that. I don't care. Why do you think that brains... Why are you capable of thought? I have no idea why. Doesn't matter why. I agree. Wait, I agree. Doesn't matter. Brain. I just want evidence for your ability to craft thoughts. That's why I'm looking at my definition of intelligence as the ability to craft ideas multiplied by your ability to perform or carry out those ideas. That's my definition of intelligence. Okay, your definition of intelligence is irrelevant. I don't care what your definition is. I'm going to mute you. I'm looking for an epistemological... Stop. Okay, you're muted. I don't care what your definition of intelligence is. Intelligence in every scientific field is a process of the brain. That's it. You don't get another option. So you need to make up a different word that isn't intelligence, because if it doesn't have a brain, it's not intelligent. Why are you focused on the brain? Because science tells us, right, all of our experience, the only thing that has intelligence is brains. That's induction. That's verify that. That's induction. It's induction. I want an epistemological basis. I don't care. This is science. If you want to say something else intelligent, you hold the burden of proof. All forms of intelligence are only brains. My concern is that you are making consciousness and intelligence the same thing. Yes, as far as I know, well, no, they're not the exact same thing. Consciousness is just awareness. Intelligence is a product of consciousness. So you need consciousness to have intelligence. You don't need intelligence to have consciousness. But as far as we know, only brains have either one. I think it's a little strange that you're basing all of intelligence on consciousness when you still haven't given me an epistemological basis for understanding what consciousness is. Yes. So science shows us that only brains have intelligence, as far as we can tell. So that's the epistemological basis, is science. No. You're just saying, you're just focusing back on the brain and you're breaking. Ultimately, you're pulling this back to consciousness. I am saying I reject the premise of consciousness. I don't care about consciousness here. I care about science. Science shows us that the only things that have intelligence are brains, and only brains are. You can only say a brain has intelligence. Like that's it. There is no such thing. Okay, so what's the okay? Let's frame it this way. What evidence can I look at when I'm trying to say that something is intelligent? Its ability to make decisions and process and solve problems. Oh, so their ability to perform tasks and craft new ones. Yes, if they're conscious, yes. When I'm looking for evidence of intelligence, that's what I look at. Yeah, you need a consciousness there, yes. But the evidence of intelligence would be its ability to perform tasks and craft new ones. Essentially, that's not really correct. That's the only way I can prove epistemologically that there is intelligence. Great. You'd have to be able to I'm asking you. That's a question. That's not a statement. That's a question. No, that would be not exactly correct. I mean, how would we discover intelligence is we would ask something to solve a specific set of problems that we create and see if it can solve the problems we've created. And that's how we would discover if it's intelligence or not.
So you're asking it to perform a task. That's the way that you'd be able to figure out if it's intelligent.
Yes.
So its ability to perform and craft new tasks.
No, craft is irrelevant. It's perform new tasks that we've set. If you can perform this set of tasks.
Wait, is a computer intelligent? Because it can perform tasks.
No, because we would create certain tasks that it couldn't perform, like
right, because it can't craft new ones.
No, the crafting is irrelevant. Crafting is irrelevant. That's complete crap. So we would create a set of tasks, and if it can meet this set of tasks, we would define its intelligence. Its crafting ability is irrelevant.
Wait, Tom, is your computer more intelligent than a mouse?
Depends on how you define it, but again, that's not how we would define it. We would say
that's my point.
No, again, so
I think it'd be really odd definition to define intelligence.
Stop. So we would to discover intelligence, we would create a set of tasks, and if they can do all of these tasks, it would have intelligence. We wouldn't ask it to craft anything. It's not the point.
So can my computer? I'm not, okay. I shouldn't say my computer. Could a computer? Perform?
No, because we would create a certain set of tasks that the computer wouldn't be able to do.
I'm not saying it's omniscient. I'm just saying, is it capable of performing more tasks than a mouse?
The amount of tasks is irrelevant here. So again, to discover intelligence, we would give it a set of tasks, and we would say, like, create a list, a checklist. Can you do all of these things? And if it can do all of these things, it would be intelligent. Computers cannot do all of those things.
Wait, so it's an arbitrary cutoff that you're saying is intelligence?
That's what arbitrary. I have no.
You're saying that if it hits a bunch of checklists, it completes the checklist. Now it's intelligent.
No, intelligence is an ontology. Epistemology is how we know something. Those are two separate things, which I've already explained.
That's not my point. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is intelligence a spectrum, or is intelligence a single point on a line?
Obviously, it's a spectrum. But again,
I agree.
Epistemologically,
so when you say,
I'm going to mute you. Epistemologically, how do we know if something is intelligence? We create a checklist. If it can match all of these things on the checklist, then we would say, yes, we know this is intelligent.
So it's intelligent because it's reached a certain point.
No, that's ontology. You're confusing ontology and epistemology. Whether it is actually intelligent and whether we know it's intelligent are two separate things. How we know something is intelligent.
I'm asking.
I mute you. How to know something is intelligent is we would create a checklist and say, if it can meet all these things, then we know it's intelligent. That doesn't mean it is intelligent, because it could be a Turing machine. And it doesn't mean it's not intelligent, because maybe there's some things that have intelligence that can't meet our checklist. We just don't know.
Okay, so my point is that you have made a checklist, and that checklist gets to a point where we understand if it has reached this arbitrary cutoff, right? You'd agree that any checklist is going to be arbitrary.
Can we know
right?
if it's intelligent? That's the checklist. Can we know if it's intelligent? How would we tell if it's intelligent? This is
right.
If it
that's
can meet this
my point. So you're trying to verify. You're trying to verify by checking its ability to perform tasks. I think that's reasonable. The other thing that I think is reasonable is its ability to craft tasks. As you were saying,
it could
irrelevant. Be a Turing machine. It could be a Turing machine. Well, I don't think it is irrelevant, because it could be a Turing machine.
Turing machines can craft tasks.
And therefore, it can't craft tasks. If it can't craft tasks,
Turing machines can craft tasks. Turing machines are indistinguishable.
That's what I'm saying. Excuse me. I said Turing. I said not. I meant non-Turing. I apologize. If it is a non-Turing machine and it's not capable of crafting tasks, right, then it is not, in my definition, intelligent. Would you agree that that's reasonable?
No.
That a non-Turing machine is not intelligent.
A non-Turing machine is not intelligent? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So a Turing machine is not intelligent. It's just processing information. It does not have intelligence. So
why do you say that?
That's just what the Turing machine is meant to describe. It's not doing anything intelligent. It's just responding. So the intelligence is the ability to take the information and respond to it in a certain way. The Turing machine isn't doing that. It's just pseudo responding, like a P zombie kind of thing. So intelligence requires the consciousness based off of science. That's what we use it as. You have this new idea.
Saying based on science, but you mean specifically based on the brain, right? Just to clarify.
That's what, based off of science, we know the brain has intelligence.
No, based on specifically the brain, right? There are other forms, like what you've just framed is something that is capable of mimicking brain activity. Right,
and that would be fine. You can have consciousness and intelligence without a biological brain. There's possible ways to do that. You don't need the brain. We only the only thing we know of
it's possible
is a brain. Yes. So yeah, it's possible that
but
a city could be intelligence. Like if everyone in a city, if we had 1 billion people in a city who all grabbed arms and had like 10,000 connections with other people, and we all transmitted information by like squeezing each other's hands, yes, we could literally create a physical brain out of people in a city. And that would be, you could argue that's conscious. That's great.
Okay. Computers are decentralized, right?
decentralized.
It's not like the vast majority
yes.
of computing power in your computer. If we had an artificial intelligence system, it's not like it would just be held in one spot. It would be held in a bunch of different places simultaneously, right?
Sure.
Okay, so it's possible now to have decentralized intelligence.
Yes. Well, obviously our brains aren't in this. Consciousness isn't in a specific spot, obviously. Wait, what?
Oh, wonderful. So then why is consciousness only, why does it have to be in one specific spot? And why can't I say that a country or a city has decentralized intelligence in the same manner?
Could be intelligent, but in order to have intelligence, you need a brain, as far as we know. So
no. But you're saying as far as we know, but you just said that you're confident that it's possible to be done with a computer.
Yes. But we haven't done it yet. So again, you're not understanding here. So we could create electricity. If I held up a magnet and you held up a magnet and we rubbed them together, we would create an electrical current. We're not doing that, so we're not creating electricity.
My point is simply that
light electricity. We could create consciousness if we had a billion people who all held hands.
So Tom, we can get to the evidence. We can get to the evidence soon, and when we look at the evidence, of course, we're going to be looking at epistemological evidence for it.
So again, stop.
Sure.
So you've still not gotten the point here. We can make a brain. We can make consciousness. We can make intelligence.
A decentralized one.
No, stop. If we make a brain. So if we all act as neurons and we hold hands and transmit information by squeezing each other's hands, we could literally create a physical brain and it could have consciousness and intelligence. But we're not doing that. That's why it's not intelligent. We are not doing that.
I will get to evidence for that we are doing that. But first, I just want to verify that you are indeed saying that it is possible for this to be the case. It is possible for a computer, right, for something that is not only held in one location, that is not held in one body, right, for that to be intelligent. You'd agree?
A brain is in one body, but
that's not. I'm not saying a brain. I'm saying a computational.
No, I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is shit because you don't understand the topic. A brain is not a centralized intelligence. There is no central part of the brain that is one active that is conscious. It is a system of interacting things.
I agree.
So, but there's also a system of interacting things that are not conscious, like rocks.
Sure, I agree with that also.
Volcanoes.
Sure,
so the question is a city like a brain where it has an interacting process that produces intelligence and consciousness, or is it like a rock?
There we go. That is the question. Yes. Answer it.
It's a rock. City is a rock. So brains and intelligence have a specific kind of function. They organize in a certain way.
Do you think that okay? So now I want to wait.
No. I'm going to clarify my argument.
Tom, I just want to make some. I want to make some evidence because I'm the one who's making a positive claim. You're making a negative claim. It's my job to make positive claims on behalf of the city.
Stop.
As having opinions, right? Or rather, as having the ability.
I've just muted you. Stop. All right. So, a city does not interact like a brain does. Like a volcano, it has lots of interactions. A storm has lots of interactions. They do not produce intelligence, even though they're working towards a goal, maybe produce new tasks, whatever. They do not produce brains. It is possible for a storm to produce a brain if it interacted in such a way that it produced a physical process that literally does what the brain does, then it could be conscious and intelligence. It doesn't do that. It does like a rock, where it's just a random interactive process. Cities are the same thing. They are like a storm. They're just an inanimate object. 1 second. Yes, go ahead.
I'm now unmuted.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you for unmuting me. Okay, here's my claim. First, let's just clarify. It is my job to claim, right? The burden of proof is on my side in this case, right? I'm the one who is saying that the city is capable of collective action, of having intelligence, in the same way that you've framed that it is already possible for that to be, not that it's been done yet, but that it is possible in the context of a computer. We agree that it's my job to prove this, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, there's still
I'd like to have a moment now.
There's still a problem.
I'd like to have I'd like to have a moment now to go through a series of pieces of evidence. We can take them piece by piece, or I can just sort of lay them out as one thing. But I'd like to go through some evidence of a city being capable of intelligence or capable of collective action. Okay. Okay. A government. What a government is a bunch of people in a city working together in order to create tasks. They are able to decide, hey, we're going to levy this much taxes. They're able to say, hey, we're going to have these laws or these rules that we're going to all follow collectively with respect to traffic or with respect to zoning or with respect to whatever it might be, right? That's one form of intelligence that they're able to do. Another form of intelligence they're capable of doing.
That's not a form of intelligence.
Okay, Tom, we can go. Do you want to take it piece by piece, or do you want me to just lay it out? Either one's fine.
Well, I'm sure that every example you're going to give, I'm going to have the same response. That's not intelligence. It's like, so
is it an action that they're doing collectively?
There's no such thing as collective intelligence like that.
Okay, Tom, it's like if we from an epistemological perspective, we've already agreed that the verifiable way that you check if something is intelligent is by looking at its ability to perform tasks and craft new tasks. So law is an example of performing tasks and crafting a new task.
It has to be a thing. It's like if I said, each wolf has a tail. Does a pack of wolves have a tail? No. And you're saying, yes, the pack of wolves has a tail. I mean, look at all their tails.
No, the tail isn't something that they're doing collectively.
It doesn't, no.
Does a pack of wolves have a leader? Yes.
So your collective part is your specific definition of what you're trying to prove. But it does,
my point,
each wolf,
my point is,
stick with this one example.
Sure.
Each wolf has a tail. The pack of wolves does not have a tail.
Sure, but
so the same thing applies to the city and the government. Each part of the government, each part of the government has intelligence. The whole does not have intelligence.
New York City does not have a vagina or a pussy or penis, rather.
Yeah,
I agree with that, right? But New York collectively does have other things that they do. Collectively, New York has law.
Laws are things made up.
Collective.
But so it's the same thing.
That's collective. So that's a form of collective rule.
Each individual has a brain, has intelligence, has consciousness. The collection does not, just like the tail.
So what's your epistemological defense of that? Because I've just said an epistemological definition. So I've said,
like, your definition of intelligence is the ability to craft whatever
craft new tasks and perform tasks that they've already crafted.
There are individuals in New York who do that.
But they're doing it collectively. Tom, I'm not saying the individual.
They're not doing it collectively. They're doing it individually, and they individually agree on different things. So they all individually work together to agree on specific laws, and they all individually.
I don't understand what. Yes, I agree with that.
So
sure,
the city doesn't do anything.
Tom, the same is true of your cells. Your cells are coming together and agreeing to do certain things.
Cells don't agree to anything. Cells have no consciousness. They're just acting.
Just as certain humans are being cancerous and working against the city, but they're all working together.
No, they're not.
In general, in aggregate, to do certain things.
So again, the cells don't have intelligence. There's no point there. So
cells act. But they're able to perform tasks and craft new tasks collectively.
No, because they don't have intelligence. Like they're not a
thing. They don't react. New tasks.
If I said, "Are you intelligent?" I'd give you a math problem. Can you solve this math problem? Cells would not solve the math problem. So they're
individually they wouldn't, but collectively
no collection of cells would solve the math problem.
I'm a collection of cells. I just solved the math problem.
You are the consciousness, which is a result of the collection of cells. They're doing something.
This consciousness thing, and I don't understand it because it's not epistemological.
Yes, it is.
That's not justified in fact.
Yes, it is.
Okay, what's the fact? Prove to me, from an epistemological perspective, consciousness. I should clarify. Not my consciousness, your consciousness.
I'm acting. I'm interacting. I'm doing things. That's evidence of consciousness.
Just be a failed Turing.
Yes, but that's fine. It's called fallibilism. It doesn't you don't need to prove with 100% certainty. The fact that I'm acting and interacting and can replicate the systems of consciousness that you are aware of means I likely have consciousness.
That's evidence. What you're looking at right now from the epistemological thing is evidence of intelligence. I agree with you. But what you just said was epistemologically your ability to perform and craft new tasks. We're having a conversation that's performing a task, and when I'm
saying that you have an experience of consciousness, and I can replicate those similar experiences as far as you can tell. Therefore, it's reasonable to conclude I have consciousness.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
So you have an experience. You have a conscious experience. You experience things, like you see things, you hear things, you taste things. That is consciousness. That's like the definition of consciousness, is just those experiences. And I seem, as far as you can tell, to replicate those same kinds of experiences. So it's reasonable to conclude I also have consciousness. That's how you do that. It's induction.
So because I, as a collection of cells.
No, not as a collection of cells. The collection of cells is just what makes your consciousness. Your consciousness is the thing that is the experiencing.
Okay. So I'm supposed to just believe, just sort of that I have consciousness. And because I believe...
Do you see things?
Do I see things?
Yeah. Do you see things? Are you blind?
a bunch of cells interact in such a manner that they're able to create.
Do you have an experience of stuff that you are seeing?
I think that I'm experiencing things. Yes.
You think? Do you think? Let's go with that.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, you have an experience. You have conscious experience. Congratulations. Everyone
that doesn't
applause.
Mean that you do.
Applause.
Tom, that's my point. I'm not trying
that's
to
the
prove
induction
that I
part.
exist.
So
you
have an experience, and you can craft these experiences based off of your senses.
And therefore, having never met you,
and it appears that I have those same senses. It appears I have those same senses, so it's reasonable to conclude inductively that I also have the same consciousness.
That an artificial intelligence system might.
Yes, that's right. We don't have absolute certainty. You don't need absolute certainty. If we saw an artificial intelligence,
so you're framing that I should just take it on face value that you have consciousness, and you think that consciousness matters a lot.
I don't think in epistemology there's this position called in epistemology there's this thing called fallibilism. It's the reason we believe there's an external world. It's the reason we believe other people are conscious. It's the reason we believe all those things, because it's probabilistically the correct conclusion.
Fine, that's reasonable. So because there's evidence that you have the ability to perform tasks and craft new tasks, I should assume that you're conscious.
No, it has nothing to do with perform tasks and ask new tasks. It has the fact that you experience consciousness. Here are the properties of your experience of consciousness.
Oh, so it's because you look like me.
Yes, essentially.
So because you look like me, I should assume that you're basically like me.
Yes. It looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck. It's probably a duck.
Okay. So when I look at a colony of ants, it looks like they're working together.
Yes.
Right? It looks like they're one system.
No.
Right? No? They're making one hive. Yes. They're making one colony, right? They're making one
system. There's
one system.
One hive. So there's a difference between a system and they're just all doing stuff together. Like those aren't the same thing.
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat that.
There's a difference between a system and they're all just doing stuff in the same area.
I'm looking for the evidence. When I see you, I see a pile of cells, right? You agree?
Yes.
Okay. When I see a colony of ants, I see a pile of ants. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. When I see the pile of ants, they seem to be working together in a manner that appears to be intelligent on its surface level. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that it appears to be on its surface level. That's evidentiary, right? Similarly, when I see you, I see something that appears to be working together. A bunch of cells appear to be working together. That's evidentiary. It's not proof. It's just evidentiary. However, when I look at a pile,
well, there's the problem. It's like, no, when you see me, you do see the cells, but the cells aren't what's responding. It's the consciousness that's responding. It's the result of the cells that's responding. So like,
okay, sure. Let's take that for a second. Okay.
So cool. wait, let's go back because if we look at a colony of ants and you ask the ants to do something, it's the ants that are responding. It's not the result of the ants that are responding. It's the ants that are responding.
You keep on coming back to this, but I could just say the exact same thing about the cells.
Well, no, that's
responding to the cells.
The cells
I'm
are
just
not
supposed to take on
responding. No, that's the distinction.
You have consciousness.
The cells are not what's responding when you ask me. It's the consciousness that's responding. The consciousness is a result of the cells. Yes,
together.
The consciousness is a byproduct of the cells. So the byproduct of the cells is me, and that is what's responding.
So why am I supposed to?
But the colony,
there's no equivalent byproduct.
Isn't. So the product of the colony does not respond. The ants
Why am I supposed to assume that there's no byproduct of the individual ants in the same way that there's a byproduct of the individual?
You don't have to assume that. You can like literally ask the ant colony to do something and it won't, because it doesn't have a byproduct that does stuff.
Wait, so you're saying because I can't communicate with the ants that I therefore shouldn't assume that they're able to communicate?
No, you can communicate with ants. You can definitely communicate with ants. We do that all the time. But the collection of the ants.
When I say communicating with the ants, I mean the ants, the colony.
Yeah, like we use different kinds of pheromones. We can literally cause them to feel things, and they can respond with like we're hungry and we're going to do this, or we can communicate with the ants. So, but we can't communicate with the thing the ants are producing. We cannot communicate with the colony. We can communicate with the ants. We can't communicate with the colony. In the context of a human being, we could maybe communicate with the cells in different ways, but we can absolutely communicate with the result. So the cells produce something, and we can communicate with that something. The colony produces something, which is the colony, but we can't communicate with the colony.
Okay. So what you're saying is that I can't, because you look like me, I should assume that you have consciousness. And because a colony of ants does not look like me, I should assume that it does not have consciousness.
No, you don't have to assume anything. Again, it's the reason is because you can, like if I was dead, you would not be able to communicate with me. So you don't have to assume I have consciousness. You can see, because I know what consciousness is, and I'm going to look for that thing in this other person. That's totally fine. So then you would take your idea of what consciousness is.
I know what consciousness is inside of my own body, right?
Right.
And I therefore should assume that you have consciousness because of evidence of intelligence.
So if you know what consciousness is in your own body, you say it has these properties as far as we can tell, like I can see, taste, smell, touch, think, those kinds of things.
Sure.
And then you would look for those properties in the other thing. So you would look at me and say, well, can you do these things? And I'd be like, yes, I can do these things. And
right, and I should take that at face value.
Well, no, you can test it. You can say, you could hold up, if you had a camera, you could hold up a number. I can be like, it's 3. And I can show you I can see. And you can ask me math problems like, add this to this. Like, yes, I can do that too. So we can verify these things.
Intelligence. That's not evidence. That's evidence of your ability to perform tasks. And potentially you could argue, those weren't specific examples of crafting a new task, but I could potentially do a test by which you could craft a new task, right? Those are evidentiary.
The crafting is irrelevant here. So those things, you have consciousness. You can tell consciousness does certain things, like, and then you can test those things on other people to see if they have it. So, but I could be dead. Like, for example, if I was a dead body, I would not be able to do those things. So you would conclude, oh, that thing doesn't have consciousness because it can't do those things.
Awesome.
So if we ask a colony, if you hold up 3 numbers and can it add these together? No. Like if you hold up 3 numbers for ants can do it.
Tom, that's not fair. That's a specific kind of task. That's not the only kind of task.
Right.
Here's a task. Build a colony. That's not something that an individual ant can do. Build a city. That's not something that an individual person can do. It's something that the collection can do.
Right. That's totally fine. But that isn't consciousness. That's not intelligence.
It's intelligence.
No.
It's your ability to craft a task. You've just said,
that's not a task.
I should assume that you're conscious because your ability to craft a task or to perform a task.
No, again, craft a task is your own nonsense. That doesn't apply anywhere in my definition. So nowhere does craft a task apply to intelligence in anywhere in my definition. That's your definition.
Okay, perform a task. Okay, let's just stick with perform a task then. Okay, the reason I do that is because I don't think that without the crafting, I don't think there's agency, and I don't love the idea of a computer being more intelligent than me if it doesn't have agency. But sure, let's just go with that.
Wait a minute. What's the difference between agency and consciousness?
Crafting a task. I can verify that something can craft a task. I can't verify consciousness. I don't know what consciousness is outside of my own brain, right? But I can verify your ability to craft a task.
What is agency and how is that different from consciousness?
Crafting tasks.
How is that different from consciousness? Like what is
crafting tasks is about so I can verify that if you do something and I'm able to respond to it. So you just asked that question, and I'm now responding.
Tell me the definition of agency.
By responding to your question, I am crafting a new task.
Tell me the
that
definition
is evidence not of
consciousness,
but of my ability to craft a new task.
Tell me the definition of agency. What is agency?
What do you mean? What is agency?
The definition. What is the definition? What do you mean by agency? When you say agency, this thing has agency. What do you mean by agency?
Yeah, it can craft new tasks.
Okay, get rid of that definition. Tell me, like, what does the definition of the word agency mean?
I don't know, Tom. You've already agreed that we're not going to look things up online. Okay, so I don't know.
Just what is like the contemporary understanding of the word agency? Like people use the word in English.
Should we look it up online?
You can go for it.
No, I'd like you to.
No, I'm asking you.
I mean, I'd also like you to.
I need to know what's in your head here. It's like I can look it up. I already know what the word agency means, but I need to know what you think the word agency means. So I don't actually want you to like look it up necessarily. I want you to tell me what you think the contemporary meaning of the word agency means. What do you think English speakers mean when they use the word agency?
I think your ability to craft a new task. I've already said that.
No, like what does an average American person when they use the word agency mean by the word agency? Not you.
Yeah, your ability to do something. Your ability to like think of new things to do. Are you looking for the think? I'm confused what you're looking for.
No, I wasn't looking for anything. I was just literally just asking, what do you think the
craft new tasks?
No.
Yeah. So from an evidentiary perspective, from a perspective of evidence, it's about your ability to craft new tasks. That's the evidence of agency.
I'm not asking what the evidence of agency is. I'm asking like what the ontology of agency is.
Oh, I'm uninterested. I thought we already agreed that epistemology is more important than ontology.
Well, I agree it is, but I want to know like what you mean by it. So it's like
the ability to craft new tasks. That's what agency is.
Agency.
And you agree, right?
No.
Okay, so what's your definition?
Agency is the awareness and independence. So you have to like be able to
What's the evidence of that? I thought we agreed that epistemology is
I'm
important.
aware. I have certain features, and then I can see certain features in other people, other things that have the same features.
That you are aware of it in yourself is not evidence that I have it. It's clear that I have the ability to craft new tasks.
The fact that you are similar to me.
There's no evidence that I have consciousness. There's just evidence that I have the ability to craft new tasks.
So it's accepted in philosophy, yes. We do have evidence of consciousness in other minds. We do, yes. So I have consciousness.
Wait, I agree. Hold up. I agree. And what that looks like is your ability to craft new tasks.
No, it's not. That definition has nothing to do with it at all. So the evidence of consciousness is I have consciousness. I can experience it. I have these sets of properties. They have those sets of properties. They have consciousness. That's the evidence.
Okay. So when you say sets of properties, what do you mean if you're not saying your ability to perform and craft new tasks?
I can think, I can see, I can taste, touch, smell.
What's the
I have
evidence of that?
For me, I can literally see myself doing it. I'm experiencing it.
My point is, what's the evidence of that in an aggregate sense for other people, not for you? I know that you think that you have evidence of consciousness for yourself.
They can see.
I think I have evidence of consciousness for myself.
They can respond. Like I already demonstrated this. I can say, if I wanted to know you're conscious, I would ask you, how many numbers am I holding up? Okay, how many is this plus this?
Me to perform a task.
Yes, perform a task. I have a list of things. To see if you can do the same things I can do.
So you're asking, when you're looking for consciousness, you look to perform tasks. My ability to perform tasks.
Everything is perform tasks.
Stand-in that you're using for my level of consciousness.
Well, no. So
if I know to perform tasks, then I'm conscious.
Everything is about performing tasks. That's just super vague. Like if I want to test the sun, I would do the same thing and have it test tasks. Like I would throw something at it or see if it reflects light in a certain way or see the kind of light it reflects.
That's why
it's also performing tasks.
I wanted to find agency, but you've rejected agency, and I don't quite understand why you've rejected agency.
I've rejected your very strange definition of agency.
Crafting tasks is not a
agency is a thing. Like there's no crafting tasks is not a thing. That's again not a thing. So
crafting tasks isn't a thing? What do you mean crafting tasks isn't a thing?
Crafting is like literally a formation, like you build something. And then tasks is doing something. Those are two different kinds of things. So those words together don't make any sense. So
prior to doing something, wait. So I'll explain what I mean by crafting a task. Prior to doing something, you have to quote unquote decide, which is putting a conscious sort of swing on it. But by some mechanism, you need to get to a point where you, either as an individual or as a collective, get to a point by which that will be the decision, that will be the task that you will be performing in the future. That's what crafting a task means.
Okay.
So
again,
is a city capable of crafting tasks?
No. The individual.
What about a law? Why is a law not a city-wide crafted task?
Because it's crafted by individuals, and the individuals choose to do it, not the city.
As a collective. The individuals got together.
The collective doesn't do a thing. The collective does not do a thing.
As a collective.
No, the collective doesn't do a thing. It's all individuals, just individuals, and nothing but individuals.
You keep saying that, but unless you define what consciousness and have evidence of it from an epistemological perspective,
I already did.
And other people, no, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
You've only defined it as I think, therefore I am.
I gave the standard definition as accepted
argument
in philosophy.
Other people think.
No, I gave the standard definition as fallibilism as accepted by everyone in philosophy. So
I think, therefore I am is a definition and a reasonable one as to why you have consciousness. Why I personally have consciousness. It's not an argument why other people have consciousness.
Other people have consciousness because of fallibilism. Fallibilism is the position in philosophy. You don't need absolute certainty. Just some sufficient evidence is good enough. And the fact that you can do the same stuff I can do is sufficient evidence.
I agree. I agree with that. So do you think there's some sufficient evidence of group collective ability to do things?
No.
In cities?
No.
There's no evidence that cities are able to do things collectively?
No.
That's the claim.
So again, it's like each individual can do something, but the whole, the product of those individuals can't do anything.
The product of things of individuals is a thing in the same manner that
consciousness
is an emergent property of individual cells. I agree with you. I think that there's an emergent property that makes up a city within individual humans.
Right. No, that's true.
What's unreasonable?
I agree. That's totally true. But the question is, does that produce intelligence? Property. So like we can build something together.
We've now accepted there is an emergent property of a city.
I've already accepted
among
that's fine. That's easy to accept. You still haven't understood. Wait, I think you still missed the major point here. So we can do something. We as a city, let's say whatever city we're in, we as a city do make something. We make something, and there is an emergent property there. It is something. The question is that something intelligent or is that something not intelligent?
So that's why I'm going to epistemology. I don't know from an ontological perspective. This is why I think it's inferior. Really much of anything about either individual intelligence of humans or about group intelligence.
But
I do, from an epistemological perspective, have evidence of group working together in a city or group working together among cells / an animal.
Here's the problem is that when we talk about what we are making, like if we make a chair, we are making the chair, obviously, but what does the chair do? So the chair isn't responding. We're responding. We are working together to make the chair, but the chair isn't doing anything. The chair isn't intelligent. So the question is when we work together to make laws or whatever, is that thing that we've made intelligent, or are we just doing the stuff and then we're the intelligent part? So
I think that...
Go for it.
Should I answer?
Yes.
Okay. I think that the emergent property of society, right, is capable of crafting and performing tasks. That society as a group of individuals is capable of doing certain things that we as individual people are not capable of doing. I don't think I specifically can make a sort of a cultural norm around traffic safety, right? I don't think I as an individual person can create a cultural norm or a law about So any number of things, right?
That's an emergent property. A wolf pack can kill a bear. A single wolf can't kill a bear.
Right. Well, that is a little different because I don't think that gets to the same level of emergent intelligence as there is in the city. But sure.
Okay, so the question is does the group can do something. We can make something. We make an emergent thing. Mm-hmm. And the question is that thing intelligent or not? So because we as a group we can make a chair and the chair isn't intelligent. Is that, would you agree? Like if we are as a group.
Wait, so if we get together as a group and we make a chair, and I'm assuming this is a chair that and none of us as individuals are able to make. So it's an extremely complicated chair.
Complicated chair, sure.
Super complicated chair. And it takes 10 million people to make this chair. It's a really complicated chair that no individual person could make, right?
Sure.
Even given 1 trillion years, no individual person could make this chair. Awesome. Okay. This chair, is not intelligent.
Yes.
The collection of people that was required to make the chair.
So just stick with that. Just stick with that. So the thing that we make
is not
intelligent. Collection isn't intelligent. So it's possible that there's a collection of people that do something, but that thing that they collectively do isn't intelligent. Now it's possible it is intelligent.
The thing that they create isn't intelligent. When you make a sandwich as an individual person, the sandwich isn't intelligent, but it required intelligence for you to make the sandwich.
Right, obviously. So the question is that as a collective, as a city, is the collective thing we are making of the intelligent kind or the not intelligent kind? Because we can exist as a collective and not be intelligent. The collective cannot be intelligent.
So you're asking I'm a little confused. Are you saying are we collectively doing tasks, or are you saying that the output of that task isn't intelligent? Obviously, the output of a task is not going to be intelligent. The sandwich isn't, and so too the chair isn't.
Not exactly. So if we have a city, and now it's possible that the people in that city work together to create an intelligent entity, like an emergent brain, essentially. They can
a government,
do that.
For example. Yeah.
That's your theory. But it's also possible they work together and make a thing that isn't intelligent.
Sure.
So like maybe if they, to try and fit it into your example, if they make no laws, if they don't do anything collectively, they're just all individuals just bumping into each other.
Even a country, even a place without laws would still have a culture. If you do something, so here's an example, something that can be done by individual humans that doesn't require group working together. So if a bunch of individual humans get together and just start splashing water, right? And they're not doing it in a manner that they are able to make a bigger wave because they're working together. Each one of them is just making a very small wave, right? That would be an example of them being together, but not doing something as a collection, even though they're doing the same thing together. But they're not doing it collectively, right? If, however, they get together and they build a wave machine, and as a group, that wave machine is able to make a larger wave than any one of them could have made individually, or as a group of them when not working together, then that wave is a byproduct of their collective action, right?
Okay, but the question I'm trying to illustrate here is that we as a group can collectively do something, and that thing we do may or may not result in an intelligence.
I don't understand what you mean by result.
May or may not be intelligence.
Us working together is the intelligence.
No.
Yes. It's an emergent property.
There's nothing there that is intelligent. Like we could work together. We're working together right now to produce
to some degree.
produce a YouTube channel. If I shut it off, if I destroyed the intelligence, is it dead? Have I killed this intelligence?
Wait, I'm sorry. Frame that again.
So like, if I kick you off or something, then I have destroyed the intelligence essentially.
You've destroyed. So if you kicked me off of the show, then in that moment, the collection, right, the intelligence that we're able, the action that we're doing as a group together, right, between both of us and also I'd argue as well the audience, that thing would cease to exist. It's not that you would cease to exist. It's not that I would cease to exist. But the product of our collective working together would cease to exist. Yes.
Where is that thing? Where can I find that thing?
What do you mean? Where could you find it?
Like the thing that I've just destroyed. Where is it? Can I touch it? Can I measure it? Can it be shown anywhere?
Can you touch your own intelligence?
No, the collective intelligence. The collective intelligence of me and you and all of these people that I'm going to destroy when I kick you off. Where is it? Where can I find that?
I thought we already agreed that you can have decentralized intelligence when we were talking about the computers.
Decentralized is different. Like, so if we, a computer can produce intelligence, the intelligence is literally...
So the effect of this conversation is that now there are new thoughts that have gotten into the minds of individuals who are listening, and to you and to me.
Right, but that's just the individuals. There's no collective thing there that's producing that. That's just the individuals.
And the effect of me performing an action, me eating a sandwich, right, would be that I now have gotten a bunch of nutrients to my individual cells. It's about the individual cells. Similarly, when we had this conversation, it's about the individual humans.
So again, the collection of things that we make up, that everyone here on the stream, isn't a thing. There is no collective thing there. It's just we're just all being individual. There's no. It's not decentralized. It's not anything. There's no thing there. It's like
there's no thing there.
It's like if I took everyone in a city, to use your city example, and just split them up and just like teleported them to different places of the world, I haven't killed anyone. I haven't destroyed an intelligence. It's not immoral to split people up because there isn't a thing there.
Cells, if I split up all the cells inside of your body, but I put them into other people's bodies, and thereby every single cell in your body was somehow managed to stay alive.
Yeah, then you would have killed me. That's immoral. If that would be immoral, you would have killed me.
Because of the emergent property. I agree. Wait. I agree that would have been immoral because I've destroyed the emergent property. Similarly, if I took each and every single person from New York City and moved one to Boston and one to Detroit, one to Chicago, and to all of these different places, right? Then obviously, they have been moved out, and the emergent property of New York ceases to exist. It's not the individual people,
but it's not immoral. It's not immoral to do that. Like, there's a difference there.
It's not immoral.
There's a difference. Like, it's not
I think
immoral.
The people of New York would disagree with you that it's not immoral to force them all to move to different.
We can say they all choose that they're going to agree to this. They're going to agree to this for a purpose of an experiment, and they're all consensual. So we consensually move everyone in New York away.
You're going to say that's consensual?
We're hypothetical here, so they're all going to because there's the coronavirus, which is in New York. So they all want to move. So we're gonna allow them to move away from New York.
So if the collection of you agreed that it was allowed.
No. The cells can't.
Wait, no. This is a good question. This is a good question. The emergence of those cells that makes up your body. I put one into me, and one into George, and one into Bob, and one into Fred, and one into Susan, whatever the fuck. If I put all of those cells into different people's bodies, but you agreed to it, I think there's nothing immoral about that.
There's a difference between me as the collective.
You're the collection of cells.
Me as the cells. So
you're the emergence of the cells.
I'm an emergence of a property of the cells. I am not the cells. Those are two separate things. So the cells create something, and that something has a consciousness.
That's my point.
The cells and the thing are separate.
Okay,
they're two different things.
Let's say somehow I was able to ask both you, the collection of the cells, the emergence, and also each individual cell, if it wanted to move into Georgina's body and into Susan's body. Okay. And every single cell, as well as you, the emergence, the consciousness, all agreed, every single last one of them agreed that they'd like to go into a different body. If that were the case, I do not think it would have been immoral.
Right. So that's the thing, is that when you ask people in New York, the people of New York can consent. My cells can't. My cells don't have intelligence. You can't ask them anything. They don't choose anything. They're just physical things.
They can fight back. I think if they fight back, that's evidence that they don't appreciate it.
No. it's like gravity. When you lift something up, you can argue that the rocks are fighting back against you because of gravity. Like, no, it's just a physical
I think it's
process.
a little bit different when we're talking about life than when we're talking about non-life.
No, it's
and
the
I think it's a
same.
little different when we're talking about.
It's the same. So, but there's a pretty. I love this analogy. This is a great analogy. So,
yeah, no, I think I agree. This is a good analogy.
New York, and all of the people in New York choose to leave, which they can do because they're conscious or have intelligence.
Sure.
That's not immoral. We haven't killed the entity of New York. The entity of New York isn't a thing. But if we do that with people,
so Tom, you have to let me finish this. Can I respond to it?
Go for it.
Okay. If both the government, the emergent property of the people of New York City, as well as each and every single person in New York City.
No, government gets no choice in this. So we can say the government disagrees. We don't care about the government.
That's the emergence. The government is elected by the people.
So I understand your analogy. So we're going to say the government does not want this. The government disagrees. They dislike
But the government is people.
The government is not people.
What do you mean the government isn't people?
So like
the government is literally elected officials that were chosen
so
by
we can say
people.
the elected officials do not want the city to disperse. But
are
all
they
the
not
people
citizens of New York?
Sure, we can say they disagree. We can say they're going to be the ones that don't want to do this. That's fine. So the government does not want this. The people do, and they're totally okay with it, or they're maybe ambivalent. They don't really care one way or the other. That's fine. We separate all of the people, and there is no more New York. But that's not immoral because we haven't killed anything because there's no intelligence there. It's not a thing. It's totally fine to do that. But if you did that with a person and you took all of their cells and you separated them, that would be immoral. You would have killed someone because those cells produce a conscious living thing, which is me.
Okay. I think we're mixing up a couple of things. First, when I'm talking about New York, I'm not just talking about the government. I'm talking about the culture writ large, right? So if the culture writ large, I don't think it's possible for the culture writ large to be opposed to everyone moving and for people all to still move, because that is definitionally a part of the culture, because the culture is the byproduct of the people. Would you agree to that?
Well, if the people all split up, there isn't a culture anymore.
That's my point. The culture is a culture that does not care about New York, that actively opposes New York, right? Wants New York to cease to exist. That would have to be the culture in order for all the people to leave New York.
No, it doesn't. Like they don't have to, they could just say, I have a desire to go that way. And like each individual in New York could individually decide that they want to take a trip to not New York.
You're describing a culture.
No, that's not. There's nothing. There's no culture there. This is just an individual process.
Every single person. I would encourage you to talk a little bit more about how we come to have opinions with a psychologist.
I'm sorry, but I know more. I know more than you about every possible
from an
topic.
intellectual perspective.
I'm not.
Psychology.
Thank you. But I'm not interested in your advice here. So I know more than more about you than psychology.
I
know more than you about everything in psychology. So I'm not interested.
I'm sure you
in
know
your
more
advice.
about everything. Yes, go on.
So the question is that each individual can individually choose to do something separately with no connection to anyone else, no culture at all. They can just choose. Yeah, I'm going to go to.
I do not think psychologists would agree with you. I would encourage you to have a psychologist.
Absolutely, 100% agree with me.
I would encourage you to have a psychologist on this program.
The decision made by the people in the house next to me are completely independent of the people in me. So they could choose to go to Washington State. I could choose to go to Texas. There is no connection. There is no culture there. That is just our individual choices. So that could happen.
Is a remarkably libertarian viewpoint on how psychology works.
No, it's just.
Are you a libertarian? I was just curious.
A fact, like their decisions.
Wait, I'm just genuine. This is not like a knock.
I have my own political theory. It's completely separate. So there is.
So are you a libertarian? Are you?
I have my own political theory, which is not a part of the libertarian or the conservatives or the Democrats' socialism. I have my own political theory.
Cool.
So,
but like what you're describing is that culture doesn't have an effect on the way that people interact in their lives.
No, I never said that. That's crap. That's bullshit. No, I never said that. I said they can make decisions that are totally and completely independent of my decisions. There is no culture there. Like I don't know what they're thinking. They don't know what I'm thinking. I can think of one thing to make a decision, and they can think of another thing to make a decision. There's no culture there.
Every single person in New York choosing independently to leave New York, and you're suggesting that the culture.
Yeah, the culture is irrelevant here. This is just purely a random chance event. It's definitely possible. There's no culture involved in this at all. Each decision is just an independent decision. It's totally fine. It happens every day that millions of people have.
Decision.
Yes.
There's no culture. People are leaving. And you don't think that the fact that when people leave, that means that it's going to have a serious impact on the economy. You don't think that the fact
I never said that. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to my analogy. Like no,
it is relevant because there are death spirals that are going to impact the stragglers.
No, it's not.
New York is a city of 10 million people.
So again,
I don't know if that's actually...
Again, I don't know. What are you not understanding about this? So it's pretty simple that individuals can make individual decisions.
I'm trying to make an argument for culture. Can I do that?
I understand that, but it's not working.
Could I explain it?
Go for it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. New York is a city of 10 million people. I'm not sure if those numbers are correct, but let's just go for it for now to make the math simple. 9 million of those people leave New York. Okay. The last 1 million people living in New York, it's now a ghost town. There are a lot of cultural reasons. There's a lot of pressure on them to leave New York now because it's extremely difficult to operate inside of New York when 9 million people have just left. The culture is going to be a culture that pressures them out. So when we talk about the epistemology, when we talk about, the epistemology, when we're talking about the emergent property of New York, there's an emergence, there's a culture by which that last 10 million people feel a serious pressure to leave New York.
Okay, but none of that had anything to do with my response. So that's not.
You're suggesting that it's possible for every single individual person in New York to leave New York without cultural pressures to do so and without governance pressures to do so.
Yes, that is possible.
Okay, so describe to me how those last 1 million people would not have cultural...
Wait, the last 1 million people is irrelevant here. So again, you were right when you described my argument is that everyone essentially in New York could just choose to leave voluntarily without any cultural government influence. Yes, that is possible. So
at the exact same time.
Yes, that is possible. So what does that have to do with the last million people are irrelevant here? It doesn't matter what they do or what happens to them.
I think they're very relevant.
No. Again, the truth statement was it is possible for all of the people of New York to choose to leave voluntarily without any cultural influence. The last million people are irrelevant. It doesn't matter what happens.
Literally, at the exact same time, every single person in the entire city would have to do this at the exact same time.
That is possible. So
okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying.
So what happens to the last million people doesn't change this. That those are two separate topics. The last million people don't matter to this first part.
Because you're saying that every single one of the 10 million people leaves at the exact same time.
We can say 9 million people leave and 10 million people or 1 million stay or whatever. It doesn't make a difference.
So there's no cultural effect on that last 1 million people?
It doesn't matter what happens to the last million people. I've never said anything
about
it does. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Again, my argument is just there's possible.
Cultural impact.
It doesn't matter what the cultural impact is because that's not part of my argument. So again, my argument
culture is the emergent property of a city.
Again, it doesn't matter to my argument. So just listen to my argument. My argument is it is possible for a group of people in the city to choose to leave voluntarily. At the same time, they could choose to do this. It's irrelevant to culture. It's irrelevant to their culture. They're not affected by their culture.
Can I respond?
What?
Can I respond?
Not yet. So it's irrelevant to their culture. It's irrelevant to the government. They could just choose individually to all take trips to different parts of the city. They can choose to do that. Now, that's the end of the argument. What effects it's going to have is irrelevant. That's the end of the argument. They can each individually choose to go take a trip to a different city, and it could just coincidentally happen to all be in the same date.
Cool. Can I respond?
Go for it.
Okay. If we're saying that of the 10 million people, 10,000 leave every year or 100,000 leave every year, that is perfectly reasonable. And another 100,000 will probably come in and move in. That's totally normal. Every single city in the world has some number of people who are migrating in, some number of people who are migrating out. That's normal. The same is true of your body. Some number of new cells are formed and some number of cells die off and leave, right? That's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with that. If, however, every single cell in your body leaves your body simultaneously, that's a serious problem for the emergence of your consciousness, for the emergence of your collective intelligence as an animal. It is also a problem for the collection of the argument. Tom, I got to be able to finish this because you've been going on for a while, and I'd like to just respond real quick.
You're not understanding the argument. I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, but that's not at all what I said. So again, the full stop of the argument is there is a people in New York and they could all choose to voluntarily leave independently of each other without any, the culture isn't causing them to do this. The government isn't causing them to do this. The government isn't asking or consenting. It's just the individuals. The individuals can choose to leave on the same date, full stop. Yes, possible, no possible. Is that logically possible?
In the level of mass migration that you're describing, no, it's not possible.
What do you mean it's not possible?
The level of mass migration that you're describing, if you're saying that it is possible without cultural pressure to do so.
No. So again, wait,
Tom, I gotta be able to answer this, please.
Go for it.
Okay. if you're asking, is it possible for 9 million of the 10 million people in New York City to leave without any government or cultural pressure to do so simultaneously at the exact same moment? 9 million people do it. If you're asking if that is possible without any cultural or government pressure to do so, the answer is no. That's not possible.
Then you're an idiot because you don't understand what possible means.
Without cultural
yes, without cultural, every individual makes individual choices, and it's possible that every individual could make a choice to do that. Yes, that's how possible works. There's no logical. Is there a logical contradiction there? If there is no logical contradiction, then it is by definition possible.
Why would that happen?
Why doesn't matter. So again, why is irrelevant?
Of course, why matters.
No, it doesn't. That's not logically possible. Do you know what the word possible means?
That's fine. Give me an example of when that's happened in the history of the world.
It doesn't matter if it's happened in the history of the world. Again, this is possible. Though, do you know what the word possible means?
I understand precisely what the word possible means, yeah.
So it's possible that they could do this.
Without cultural impact?
Yes.
No. Simultaneously?
Find the logical. Where is the logical contradiction in what I said?
Because I don't think that 9 million people.
That's not a logical contradiction. Where's the logical contradiction?
I'll try. I think that there are barriers to leaving, and there are reasons to stay for every single person in a city. When people leave, what that is that there are larger reasons for them to leave than there are reasons to stay. But there's a stickiness in the location that you live. There's a stickiness that is true across the board. So for every single person, not every single person, for 90% of the people to leave simultaneously, there has to be a cultural or an economic or government reason that they're all being forced out.
What's the definition of a logical contradiction?
What's the what?
What is a logical contradiction?
The logical contradiction is that they can't simultaneously be doing that.
What a logical contradiction is like the square root of a pork chop.
It is an active choice to leave.
Yeah, so a logical contradiction is a one thing that is not the same thing. A does not equal A.
Sure,
I agree. Square, circle.
Yep.
Nothing in my example. Nothing in my example is a logical contradiction. Logical contradictions are impossible.
Could I respond?
Go for it.
Okay. It is an active choice to leave a city. Can we agree?
Sure.
Okay. It is an inactive choice to stay in a city. Do we agree?
Sure.
Okay. To make an active choice, there has to be something wrong with the inactive choice. Do we agree? Okay. To make an active choice, there has to be something better than the inactive choice. Do we agree?
Different.
Sure.
Different.
There's valid. There's two reasons that a person would leave a city. Either they're leaving a city because there's something wrong with the city that they're coming from, or there's something better about the city that they're going to, right?
No. There's lots of different reasons they could leave.
Why would a person leave a city?
They could just be neutral.
I don't think that people who are completely neutral are going to move.
They can, yeah. It's kids that just want to travel. Like it's just a trip. They're not moving.
That's
they're
pleasure.
Just going on.
What you're describing is someone is moving for pleasure.
Pleasure is moving. They're not. I never said moving. They're just going on a trip. They're not. They still live in New York. They still have a house there. They're just going on a trip.
Okay. Why are they doing that?
Because they want to.
Exactly.
There could be lots of different reasons.
They think that there's something better.
Maybe somebody wants to buy cigarettes over the border and then come back. Like there's lots of different reasons. It may not be.
Sure.
Maybe they're just going to go.
What you described is that it's better to be in Canada, even if it's only momentary.
No. Again, it doesn't have to be better. They can just be spontaneously. I just want to drive because I want to drive. It has nothing to do with the cities. Maybe it has nothing to do with better or worse at all. They're just going to drive because they want to drive and they happen to leave the city.
Because they're bored of the city because they want to go somewhere else.
No, it has nothing to do with the city. They're just driving in random directions because they feel like driving and they happen to leave the city. The city is relevant.
The city is irrelevant. They're just driving.
Yeah, they're just driving because they want to drive and they happen to leave the city. Like they take a right, they take a left, they take another right. I feel like a left.
You're describing 9 million people unconsciously leaving the city.
No, some of them could be conscious, some of them could be unconscious. It doesn't matter. There are lots of different reasons. There could be positive reasons, there could be negative reasons. There's lots of different reasons why they could choose to leave the city. This is irrelevant.
If it's a conscious decision to leave the city, then there's a reason behind it. That's what conscious means.
Right, but I never said they needed to do that. So again, they're just leaving the city. What causes them to leave the city is irrelevant. It could be a conscious decision. It could just be random chance. It doesn't make a difference.
No, it does matter because it's question of culture.
The culture is irrelevant here. That's the point. Is that a guy can get in his car and just choose to drive.
There's an aggregate reason that's affecting millions of people
I'm saying there's not. I'm saying there is no aggregate reason. There is no aggregate reason. They're just each individually for individual reasons choosing to leave. And one guy chooses to leave inconsequently because he just wants to drive. He gets in his car and wants to drive, and he happens to leave the city.
If the individual person does it from an unconscious perspective, that's a morally neutral act. There's nothing wrong with moving from an individual point.
I've never said anything about the morality. The morality here hasn't come into the question.
Tom, you got to let me finish. My point is that unconscious desire, right, doesn't get to a point where 9 million people leave a city at the exact same period of time.
It's again irrelevant. Possible means there's no logical contradiction. If there is no logical contradiction, that is by definition possible.
So let's frame it this way. What % chance do you think that what you're describing is going to happen?
Infinitesimally small. Doesn't make a difference.
I agree. So why are we focusing on it?
Because it's a possible example. So this is a possible thing that could happen. So it is possible the people of New York could choose by random to just leave.
I will grant that it is an infinitesimally small chance.
Yeah, the probability here doesn't make a difference. That's not part of the example. So yes, the probability doesn't make a difference here. So it is possible they could leave.
Tom, will you grant me that independent of everything else, every single cell in your entire body could go cancerous simultaneously and just start killing each other?
Yes, they could. That's possible.
Okay. So I am comfortable saying if every single piece of your body goes cancerous at the exact same moment, right?
But again,
ceases to have emergent properties, ceases to have a consciousness. If that happens, then I'm willing to say that it is a morally acceptable thing for them all to just start killing each other.
Again,
and I'm similarly willing to say
not part of the example. Not part of the example. So
I'm making a comparison to the example.
I understand what you're saying, but the
chances of that happening are
part of the example.
Literally so close to zero as to be indistinguishable.
Right.
And the chances which you're describing,
I agree.
Are
it's not relevant. Not relevant. The probabilities here don't make a difference. It's not the point. So I agree it's infinitesimally small. That's obviously not part of the point. So again, if it's possible that all people in New York could choose to leave, if we do this, we have not killed anyone. There is no intelligence that has been lost. No one has died. It is not immoral to do this. If all of my cells go cancerous, a person has died. That is bad. So if all the people in New York leave, not bad. Nothing's lost.
The cells has died. The collection of the cells has died. But let's say that they're not cancerous. Let's say they're not going to start killing each other. Let's just say that they all somehow dissolve out of your body. I don't know how it would happen, but let's say that they all just leave your body simultaneously.
Quantum mechanic stuff. Yes. Then I have died.
They all leave your body simultaneously. Wait, Tom, could you let me finish the point before interrupting, please? Okay. Every single last cell in your body simultaneously just decides to leave your body. I don't want to say decides because that's just
whatever. They quantum mechanically leave.
Body at the exact same time. I am comfortable saying that if every single cell in your body, given that you are, in my mind, just an emergent property of those cells, if they all agree simultaneously to leave, I'm comfortable in saying that it's okay that you quote unquote died in that moment, and that's not a moral wrong.
Right. That's fine. The moral part isn't the question. The question is that I have died. There is a thing.
The emergence of you has died. Similarly,
entity.
If you're asking if New York would die if every single person left New York, of course New York would die. Yeah.
No. New York doesn't die. New York doesn't exist there. There is no intelligence that is lost there. There's no consciousness that is lost. There's
the governance structure and the culture of New York has died.
There is no intelligence there that is lost. None. Zero. Nothing.
The governance structure. And
there's no intelligence. There's no intelligence that is lost. So there's an obvious difference between these two. If everyone in New York just leaves, nothing is lost.
The governance structure,
nothing is lost,
and the culture
doesn't make a difference. None of those are intelligence; those are just individuals. So, in my case,
property of those individuals,
I'm going to mute you. Stop talking.
And the culture,
I'm going to mute you.
To exist.
Stop talking. So, there's an obvious difference here. If all my cells dissolve or teleport or whatever, I have died. My intelligence is gone. If all the people in New York leave, nothing is gone. Everything is the exact same. There's no difference.
Wrong. Can I describe what's different?
Go for it.
The governance structure and the culture cease to exist.
Nope, because those aren't things. There's no thing there. The government, all the people who make up the government could still exist. They can still talk via Skype.
So Tom, this is where I keep on coming back. You keep on framing consciousness as a thing that exists in humans, but the consciousness is the emergent property of the cells. And then you're going to turn around and say that the emergent property of humans, which is to say the culture and the government, doesn't exist.
Yes.
And I just don't understand why you're saying that.
Because there's a difference. Emergent properties are not necessarily intelligent. They can be intelligent. They may not be intelligent. A group of cells can produce
epistemology.
What?
That's why I'm saying its ability to perform tasks and craft new tasks.
Right, and we can ask the city of New York to do something it won't.
What intelligence is.
So if we separate all of the people and the city of New York, the emergent property, then if we ask the emergent property to do something, it will not respond ever. It's an inanimate object. If we ask the people, they will respond. They are animate objects. If we ask the collection, it will not respond. It's not an animate object.
Tom, the fact that you aren't able to ask New York a question doesn't mean that New York isn't capable of performing tasks.
It's an analogy. So any way that we can test to see if New York as itself is intelligent will fail because it can't perform tasks. The people perform tasks.
It does perform tasks.
No, it doesn't. The people perform
You don't think
tasks.
that okay, here's an example of a task that New York has performed. Manhattan is literally physically larger because a bunch of individual people...
The people perform the task. The city does nothing.
Yes, in the same manner as the cells in your body do things.
Nope,
yes.
Nope. I can perform tasks. The collection, can perform tasks.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
The cells don't matter.
Okay. The collection of New York is responsible for a culture around traffic.
No, that's just the individual. So again, that's only the individuals working together. The doesn't even exist.
You are a bunch of individual cells.
Yes. Because you can
What's the difference?
There's the two things. There's the whole and there are the parts. Okay. You can ask the parts. So I'm answering your question. You asked what's the difference. What's the difference. There's a difference between the parts and the whole. This is the whole thing. You just don't understand the difference between the parts and the whole. I can ask a wolf, do you want some meat or whatever? And it can respond. Yes, the wolf can. I can ask the whole collection of the pack. It can't respond. It doesn't have anything. It's not a thing.
Okay.
So
you're
people,
suggesting
you can ask the parts the thing, and you can ask the whole the thing. If you ask the whole the thing, it will not respond because it's inanimate. If you ask the parts the thing, they will respond.
So, could I respond?
Go for it.
Okay. So you're suggesting, and I just want correct me if this is wrong. I believe what you're saying is that what the difference is that an individual person, I can ask them a question, and I can't ask a city a question, right?
Well, a question is just an analogy. You can just any test to test for intelligence. We can just replace that question with any test to test for intelligence.
Okay, so I can't ask a city a question. That's the basis of this.
Well, just whatever the test is for intelligence.
Okay, so if I could ask a city for intelligence. Wait. So Tom, if I could ask a question of a city, and the city could respond as a collection, then that collection is capable of responding to questions.
No, if the emergent whole can respond as a whole.
Yep. If the emergent whole can respond to a question, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to now try to say a question that I think that the city has responded to. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Okay. New York, are you comfortable with coronavirus?
And the city doesn't respond because the city's not.
The city has responded.
No, the individuals clearly respond. Again, so you're confusing the individuals with the whole. The individuals respond. That's not the whole.
The emergent property response would be that
there's no response by the emergent property
about it. The government has made rules about it. The government has the culture has started making a bunch of memes as a collection of people and has been shared as a collection of people.
Also,
and there's an emergent culture as well as an emergence of laws that say, here is our response collectively to coronavirus.
Again, that's all individuals. So again, you're confusing the individual's response to the collective response. The whole doesn't do anything. Those are all just a bunch of individual stuff. None of that is the whole. The emergent property itself has done nothing in these cases. Those are all just the individuals.
I feel like we've been talking in circles for an hour and a half at this point. So do you want to, what should we do at this point?
Yeah. So again, it's just, you're just confusing the parts and the whole. It's just an obvious philosophical.
Obviously I disagree. So
I mean, obviously you do, but you just don't understand philosophy.
Obviously I don't understand philosophy. You're a genius. I agree.
Thank you.
Okay. So what should we do at this point?
Well, I mean, I'm still not sure how to explain this extremely basic concept to you, is that there's a difference between the individuals and the whole.
My point is that I have limited desire, if we're going to put it in those sense, in the consciousness sense, to continue to talk in circles, because I'd like to craft new tasks at this point rather than just perform the same task of explaining this to you.
Right. So plan is we each give a summary and then go. That's usually what happens at the end.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
So you don't know the difference between the parts and the whole. You keep saying that the parts can do things and the parts can have responses and they can pass the intelligence test, and then therefore the whole can. It's basic composition division fallacy. The whole as an entity, the response that they make, can't do these things. Only the individuals can. And you're confusing those two things. Like a wolf has a tail. The pack does not have a tail. The wolf has a brain and intelligence. The pack does not have a brain and intelligence. They're just simply the confusion between the part and the whole. Go for it.
Okay. You promise not to interrupt?
It's your conclusion. Go for it.
Fantastic. I love you. Thank you. You're a wonderful person. Okay. My conclusion would be that if we accept that we are an emergent property, when we talk about a human being, that is an emergent property of individual cells that make us up, then we have to be willing to accept the same of other forms of life. And there's an emergent property of individual people. And individual people working together create colonies, if you will, collective intelligences in a couple of different ways. One of those would be a company that is a bunch of different people working together in order to create a single task or group of tasks that they're able to do as a collection that no individual thereof could do as an individual. Similarly, I would argue the same of cultures and of governments. From there, you would have to take the collection of all of those different systems, those different colonies of humans, and you'd be able to say that there is a human-wide culture. There's a human-wide ability to perform and craft tasks. And I say the same. This is Gaia theory, which unfortunately we weren't able to get into. But there's an idea that has been pretty well established in science since the 1960s that Earth as a whole has an Earth-wide ability to perform and craft tasks. And I would say the same if we agree that there's life elsewhere in the universe, which unfortunately we also didn't get to. If that's the case, then surely we'd be able to say that the universe is alive as a whole, and therefore the universe is alive, is able to craft and perform tasks. If the universe is capable of crafting and performing tasks, I think that it's reasonable to call it God, because I think that with respect in comparison to us, that it is comparatively omnipresent, because it's obviously everywhere we are, because we are part of it. It's comparatively omnipotent, because it's so much stronger than us, and it's comparatively omniscient, because it's so much smarter than us. That's about it. Yeah. All right.
Okay,
cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Are we still live or no?
Yeah, still live.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
See you later.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.